Hey guys, this is John McNamara, host of Runnin Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, and real estate. If you guys like what you see and with our content, please subscribe and follow us on Instagram. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Rodrigo.
Thank you as always. Pleasure to be here.
And we have a star today as a guest, Mr. Austin Starr.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. So a little bit about Austin. He is at the same brokerage as we are. He's a top producer at Virtue Real Estate Group and former Runnin Rebel.
Yep, that I am.
Yes, sir.
That I
So
am.
what do you think about the season with UNLV?
I think it's been up and down. They had a lot of good wins this year. They had Creighton earlier in the year, right? They've also had some tough losses too. Kind of running it back to where we are now with the Air Force game. They had a really tough game here, and then they actually pulled it off on the road. So
Yeah, it's been an up and down season, right?
Yeah.
It's like after Reno on Saturday, they were up the entire game. It's Utah State, Colorado State. What a different season it could have been. You know, It's been kind of unfortunate, but it's been good to see Whaley and Dean Thomas really break out for the team.
Yeah.
I think they've been kind of they don't have a lot of depth. I think they're getting tired at the end.
Yep.
So I think at the end of the day, I think they have to really run the tables in the Mountain West tournament to,
They're going to have to do something in the tournament to actually make a statement. So they got a lot of role players this year. Rob Whaley, like you said, monster down low. He's an undersized big, but he makes up for it in size. He's just jacked. I remember seeing him at CSI, one of my old colleges as well. But seeing him out there, he's lost 50 pounds since, but he's still huge and still just, very dominant down low. So, and then seeing DJ's development from, when he was a little kid, to now, seeing him in high school as well. It's also awesome to see.
Yeah. Tell us more about that, because it was kind of cool. I'm texting you on the side, like giving you, kind of the idea of what's going on for the podcast this week. And honestly, I was thinking about talking about Deedon last week. I'm like, hey, let's talk about Deedon. And you text me like, I've known him since he was 7.
Yeah, since he was a little kid,
the perfect person to talk to, because I'm just a basketball fan. I'm not, you're an expert at basketball. So I want to know him as a player, as a person,
So his dad, a little bit of background. His dad, my dad coached as well. My dad also coached at UNLV back in the heydays with Stacey Augman and Larry Johnson and that Runnin Rebel team. That's when they were really running Rebels. And Deedon, his dad, was also one of my coaches growing up, helping me out along the way. So seeing little DJ running around, he was always in the gym, and he was always in the gym up until now, and I'm sure he still is in college. So just constantly developing, and it's every single day for him.
It's super impressive to be 18 years old. And he is fresh. He looks like he's going to be freshman of the year for Mountain West. He's averaging 12.6 assists, and he's dominating.
Mountain West isn't easy either. Mountain West is not easy. It's actually a really tough conference.
It is. It's one of those underrated conferences for sure. They get like 3 to 5 teams in every year, and this year maybe even 6. So it's been fun to watch. I wish we were a little bit more in it. But so what's your guys' take? Because it seems like realistically, Rebels, they got to win the tourney to get in. Let's say that might be not that easy, right? So if that does not occur, what are your thoughts on Kruger and where we go into next year?
Ooh, that's a hard question, because just depending on how much he has left on his contract and all that kind of stuff plays a huge factor in how next year is going to go. I think it's really crucial right now too with the NILs, with how college recruitment goes. I'm sure he's going to have to go out and get a lot of junior college kids. He's going to have to find some diamonds in the rough to kind of pull it out next year. They need some shooters. They need shooters. They can't. They have one kid that very streaky, but you need in the Mountain West, you need guys that know how to play, and you need guys that know how to shoot and will make shots consistently, and then that's how you win games.
For sure. Yeah, it's been interesting because I know Boone, the forward, he wasn't eligible for the first half, and then Hill, the transfer from Oklahoma, he tore his ACL. So it's like, man, if that had kind of worked itself out, we might be having a totally different conversation. I like Kruger. Like, I thought it was good hire time. I like the Lon Kruger legacy, all that. Yep. 3 years not making the tourney. And I really like our new athletic director, Harper. I think
he's really good.
He slam dunk hire with Odom. That's been great to watch for football.
Yep.
I think he pulls the trigger and he moves on,
So I mean, it's Vegas is like they say, when you win, they support you. If you don't win, it's good luck.
For sure. It's a tough town.
Yeah, tough town.
Yeah,
tough
we
town.
like to win. So let's focus more on you.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your basketball career, how you got into basketball, and how was it like growing up in Vegas?
Yeah. So born and raised in Vegas. Like I had said prior, my dad used to coach for UNLV. Yeah. Previous to that, he grew up. He played professional basketball as well. He played for the Bulls back in '76 through '78.
Oh, cool.
Played at Pitt prior to that, and then he's from Pittsburgh originally. So he came out here. He went with the Lakers. Jerry West wanted to send him out to Italy. He didn't want to go. Stupid of him. I don't know why. But then he came out here and played for an ABA team. And then once that happened and occurred, he kind of just stayed out here. So growing up in town, growing up in Vegas, seeing a lot of development out here, work-wise, basketball-wise. This is kind of the basketball mecca, I like to explain. So, got into it from when I was able to walk. I was out there with little rubber basketball. Anywhere we went, I always had a basketball in my hand. So ever since I was like 4 years old, I started playing competitive basketball. So,
awesome. Yeah.
Got up all the way through college, went and played a little bit of professional basketball out in China. Politics got involved, came back, did some G League stuff, and then COVID hit. So, it kind of changed the path of everything that I had going on. So,
and now you're a top producer in real estate. So
I got into real estate.
Not too bad, not too shabby. Pretty impressive, actually.
Yep. Good how it works out,
I'm glad you brought that up too, because it's funny. You talk about like Las Vegas. It is a basketball town.
Yes.
And what's the first franchise that we got? It was a hockey team.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's I never thought we were going to have the NFL, and I never thought we were going to have the NHL, and those are the first two things that we got.
Yep.
So we got NBA coming in a couple of years.
No, for sure.
What's your guys' thoughts on that, and with expansion and all that, and
Yeah, no, it'll be exciting. I'm ready for that. I'm a big basketball fan too. Growing up, being from South America, you don't necessarily see football outside of the U.S. a lot. So besides soccer, for me, basketball was my second love. So definitely excited to see something here in Vegas, So, and I feel all the locals here do a very good job supporting these teams. So we have such a good fan base now. So coming back to like the spotlight, I feel it now. Everyone's in the spotlight, and if you don't, step up to the plate, you might be getting pushed out.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of LeBron James rumors, too, that he might be an owner. And he said, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
All I know is it's a $3 billion arena and mixed use that got approved. So something's coming.
Something's coming.
So
here in Seattle.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Supersonics coming back.
Seattle deserves a team for sure.
Oh, that will be great.
Their support out there when the Supersonics were there was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then get New Orleans back in the East Conference, right? Because that makes absolutely no sense. So.
Yep.
Great. So tell us a little about your year at UNLV. How was it playing for Dave Rice? I mean, being a UNLV fan, I've been watching UNLV for 15 years. I originally moved from New York.
Yep.
That was really, Dave Rice era was really the only relevant era in the 15 years I've been watching UNLV basketball. So tell us about that experience.
So it was awesome playing with Dave Rice. Dave Rice was there. The assistant coach Stacey Augman was there as well. So kind of just a full complete circle. Like I said, my dad coached them. They ended up coaching me in college ultimately. Learned a lot from Stacey. Learned a lot from Dave. Unfortunately that year, that's the year he got fired halfway through season.
Yeah.
Kind of just sent, I don't know how to explain it. It was just, a lot of back end stuff that happened that year.
Yeah.
We talk about politics, we talk about all that type of stuff. I mean, it's very prevalent in sports and all around, even in college, especially now, like I said, with NIL, I think it's even more politics involved.
Yep.
So just that's my own personal opinion behind that. But
Yeah.
no, it was great. I love playing for Dave. I love playing for Stacy. I wish I could have played for them longer, obviously. So, but no, it was a great year. We went to Maui that year, so that was fun.
Yep.
Had the flu out there, so I actually couldn't even
Oh,
get out the
geez.
room, which sucked. And then that's the year we beat Oregon when we played them in MGM.
Yep.
And then we beat.
I was at that game.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
beat Indiana out in Hawaii. So we had two
cool.
top 15 wins at the beginning of the season. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen you play a couple times. It was funny because you and I met at one of the Virtue, I think it was like the holiday party. I'm like,
Yep.
man, this guy looks familiar. And then you start talking. I'm like, oh, I've seen this guy play basketball before.
Yeah.
And you were pretty good, actually. You came off the bench and
Yep.
you were putting up points. And I'm like, wow, this kid's a freshman.
Yep.
So that's cool. Yeah, I remember that year. That was a tough year. I
was.
was a Dave Rice fan, and my opinion is they should have kept, and I know there's politics behind it, they should have kept him as the coach and let the season,
Let the season run out.
Let it run out.
At least if you're going to do something, have a plan.
Yeah.
Right.
It seemed like they just kind of offloaded and didn't have a plan. So, I mean,
That was the roughest UNLV season after,
Yeah.
right? With they had Chris Beard, who was there for
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. The first week he was in the board meetings. So,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you couldn't practice that first week. And then the second week he was there for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Menzies. So, and then there was a rumor too. They had Cronin verbally.
McCronin wanted to come. I think he just wanted to use it for Cincinnati
Yeah,
to get a
let's
higher
get more
contract
money,
out there,
right?
For sure.
So there was just one thing after another. So they fired Dave, and then they had no plan, and then they waited until the end, and then the rest, unfortunately, is history.
Yep.
And it really set the program back.
Hugely.
I mean, it took like 5 years for it to kind of get decent again, and then like Otzelberger did a decent job.
Yeah.
And then he, obviously he had the job in hand for Iowa State. He moved on, and now we're here, and we might be starting all over again, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's kind of history kind of repeats itself. We have good preseason sometimes with the kind of players that we recruit. But as soon as we get in Mountain West, it's completely different. What are they, fourth seed right now in the Mountain West? So they're having a pretty good year this year comparative to the years prior.
Yeah.
But they don't recruit shooters like they should. They don't recruit basketball IQ. At least when Menzies was here, he didn't do so much. He kind of just went for the athletic guys and all that kind of stuff that they really can't win in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a tough conference, and you kind of have to have those types of players.
No, you're absolutely right. And Menzies was very vocal about that. He's like, I just want the best athletes, and I'll figure it out later. That's always been his philosophy, and obviously it did not work out very well here.
Nope.
Yeah.
It didn't.
No. All right, well, moving on. We'll talk more about UNLV this year. We'll see how it goes. So tell us, let's switch a little bit.
All right.
Tell us about, what got you into real estate and...
So I've kind of always had a love for real estate here in Vegas itself. I always kind of dabbled with, looking at houses, looking at the higher end houses. I do have a lot of clientele that is professional athletes. So kind of understanding the background behind that. Ultimately, I tell people all the time, like having that type of clientele, I've seen that clientele kind of get screwed over more often than not. The ones that actually have the kind of money to purchase these high-end houses, all that kind of stuff, transaction fees of, thousands of dollars on a contract. So kind of the taking advantage of those types of people, I kind of really disliked. And so, getting into that, kind of going back when I was really young, where McDonald Highlands is, right?
Yep.
So back then they had a thing called the Street of Dreams. It was the first 3 houses that were built up there. And so like where the restaurants are, the shopping centers, they used to have a bus that came to pick us up and go up into the mountains to the Street of Dreams. And so like that was my initial like reaction to high-end real estate that I absolutely loved. So
Cool. Well, you're doing very well. Last year you did 9 million in volume.
Right around it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Second year in the business. So tell us more about that, because what would you say your pillars are in your business to get clientele?
Sphere of influence. So 100% of my business, fortunately, has come from my sphere of influence and referral based. I kind of, at the beginning, my first ever deal came from the golf course. Golfed with a really good probate attorney here in town that kind of, found a lot of value in me that I can help him out in his next probate deal. So that was actually my first listing to ever come out.
Oh, wow.
And then kind of just building relationships. I'm real strong on relationship based, and it's not transactional for me. So, the transactional business I don't really like. I'm friends with probably every single one I've actually ever done a business deal with. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's great.
And I can tell you're very genuine the way you express yourself about, the people that you work with, the coaching that you do. You give a lot back to the community. So I'm sure that that results in people, trusting you and wanting to put things in the hands of you. So that's important.
Yeah.
Because I do agree, we're in a city where everybody needs a home, right? Housing is very important, and us as real estate agents, we know the ins and outs. So it's sometimes easy to do the wrong thing for the client when we're only looking out for ourselves. So I do like that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, that's ultimately why I got into it, just with the people that I know, the people that are buying in town. And I just know that I can be of value to them.
That's great.
Yeah.
And we're learning from you too, because like we were talking about before, we're very prospecting based on the phones. And I know you do, you play golf as well. You meet with your clients, you give them experience. And I know as a team, that's something that we're really working on to build those relationships in the business.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I'm like I said, I'm very strong on relationships. I learned that at a very young age with my dad, kind of helping me out. He's very relationship based as well. So,
So what's your handicap?
Right now I'm playing at about a 3.5, but I got down to like a 1.7, my lowest.
Wow.
Yep. I'm
That's
playing for about
impressive.
2.5 years now. So
I've been playing for like 10 years on and off. I'm nowhere even close to that. So I'm asking you for tips.
all right, I got you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So, I know myself, like I played football when I was younger, not on a high level like you playing college sports, or I was very lightly recruited, but I applied a lot of those lessons I learned from sports in the business, not even realizing it.
Yep.
So tell us more about that, because you're obviously a high level athlete and you have transitioned very successfully into real estate. So how is that all kind of applied?
I take direct correlation with sports and business, especially, basketball, anything that has to do with like a team sport, really any individual sport as well. I guess golf can be something like that, tennis, all those kind of stuff. But it's basically how we were talking about this not too long ago, is basically how you deal with certain situations, right? So in real estate, as we all know, anything can happen at any point in time. Right. And any type of transaction, any type of deal, any type of escrow, any type of clientele that we have. Things are going to go left. They're going to go right. It's just the way the business is. Kind of with the way my career went, I had a herniated disc in my lower spine. So I couldn't feel my right leg for a couple months.
Wow.
In my junior college year, so my second year of school, very, well recruited throughout the preseason process. Came back here into town for a Christmas break, and then I broke my foot. So I missed the whole actual season. So my recruitment kind of took a complete turn, and I kind of just had to stick to it. So it's basically how you handle adversity. That's a huge part of what I've learned through basketball. How to work with other people. Which is huge in our business, obviously. We have to work with real estate agents on a daily basis. We have to work with clients on a daily basis. And fortunately for me, just kind of learning how different people react to different situations, which is also what we do as well. We're part-time therapists.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's
that's
one
a
of the
better
biggest
way to put it.
Yeah,
right?
it's one of the biggest transactions that anybody's ever going to make in their life. Biggest investments that anybody's ever going to make in their life. So it's up to us to try to navigate through like the feelings of what the market is, how stressful a transaction can get, and kind of navigate with our clients through that. So
yeah,
learned a lot.
Kind of balancing the emotions, right?
Exactly.
It's a roller coaster, lots of highs, lots of lows.
Exactly.
So that's a great example you give. Like, I'm sure, mentioning your injury, I'm sure it kind of can bring you down, right? It's hard to look at the big picture, at the light at the end of the tunnel. But I think all of us being, sports based, we kind of learn to adapt like that at a young age, right? Because we've all gone through injuries or setbacks, or hey, I didn't make the team this year. Hey, there's another starter in front of me. So it just reminds us to get back to work, get back to the lab, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of, it's easy for us to see, because I talk to John about it all the time. I wouldn't even consider not having a coach, not having a mentor, not having some guidance. But we really get that through our athletic, past, or, our sports history. But some people don't really see it that way, right? Like, so
it's really interesting. I love working with athletes in real estate because, as you guys know, being athletes, every day you go to practice and you fail. And then you fail, and then you fail, and then you fail. And you keep working, you get a little bit better, and then you get to play in the big game, and hopefully you play well. So we're used to that rejection every single day, right? And you actually have a really cool story, if you want to talk about it.
Yes, can you remind me?
So when you were playing soccer, it was your junior year going to your senior year.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great story if you don't mind sharing it.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. My older brother, big, soccer athlete in the high school that we went to. So we both went to Spring Valley. Okay. So I had big shoes to fill. So my freshman year, maybe it's an excuse, but they had their squad top of the line people, right? So I definitely did not make varsity. Sophomore year comes around and I'm frustrated because I got cut, and my brother made all 4 years varsity. They seen me play since I was in like elementary school, so the coaches know me. And it came the opportunity where sophomore year, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be varsity starter, and coach kind of pulls me to the side and he's like, hey man, like I really want you to be the example for JV and take this year to really work with them, because this is going to be your roster moving on to your sophomore and senior year. So I had to, kind of dial it back. And at first I didn't really see, I was kind of more of like, why me kind of mood. But then I realized, man, I had this great group of people now following me, looking up to me, leading by the example. So, sometimes you get into the situations where you have to kind of take a step back, and even though you don't really see it or see the big picture, it's there, right? Just trusting, believing, and just continuing moving forward. Yeah.
So the story, and kind of, similar to yours, I didn't play my junior year at all. I made varsity, and then my senior year, I worked my ass off and was first team All-State. But I had to go through that adversity, and it changed my life. It was an amazing thing. So sports has been awesome. And I liked how you talked about before just a real estate deal, right? Because, we do about 40, 60 deals a year. And honestly, like maybe one of those, two of those deals will actually go well through that entire process. So if you're watching, because how many times have we hear it all the time, and our industry does get a bad, name here and there, right? Yeah. But agents deserve those commissions because, like you put it, like we are literally therapists for our clients. Folks, you will, people emotionally change during transactions. You'll see a whole nother side of people. So it's a really interesting business. You have to have a very strong mindset to deal with it, because you have more losses than you have wins in this business.
1000%.
For sure. So I'm glad you brought that up. So tell us, like, what do you do for fun? Like, besides real estate, killing it in real estate, great basketball player, what do you do? What are your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I golf a lot. I golf a lot. I also do a lot of personal training, private training on the side. So giving back to my community, like you had said. I help coach at Foothill High School now as well. Kind of trying to be a mentor to those kids, understanding where they're at, understanding where they can go, and not letting them make the same mistakes I made sometimes, along the way. But I love golfing. I think it's more I tell people when I'm golfing, I can only golf, right? Like there's nothing else on my mind. One, because I get frustrated. Two, because if I don't have a good round, I get frustrated. Three, the game's so hard, so I get frustrated. So if you see a trend here, I just don't want to talk to anybody else. You know, it's just kind of like my own sanction of tranquility, I guess you could say, of anger and frustration. But it's good to get that out sometimes, you know. You know, playing basketball now, I can only play some competitive. I don't really give too much energy into that anymore. So something that's more challenging for myself that I can, you know, continue to. It's just a stuff challenge. So it's nice to have that kind of competitive aspect to life. And as we were just saying outside, having that competitive aspect within, you know, certain agents in the brokerage, kind of that healthy competition that's going to help all the agents in the brokerage kind of strive through. You know, I love the competitive aspect of everything. That's another thing that relates from sports to real estate. Right? We're all competitive. I mean, we're all selling the same product at the end of the day, right? But who's going to separate themselves individually as a person, right? So if I can't, and I use this for an example as far as like going out and golfing with people, if I can't sell myself in 4 hours, I shouldn't be here anyways. And that's kind of how I take everything. And especially through basketball, while I was getting recruited, I had to sell myself. I'm my own product at the end of the day. So, I mean, I love that part of how everything translates to real estate as well.
That's great. You bring up such a good point, because real estate is really practicing your scripts and skills every single day. Just like sports, right? You go and you practice. So, and the folks that actually practice every day, that work on their sales skills, they have confidence, they go out and try to win the day like yourself. It makes a big difference in their business.
Huge.
So,
And I love the fact that you still give back, right? So even though you may be restricted to playing time or how much effort you put in, it seems like you care a lot about sharing your knowledge with the kids, with anybody, even, you know, with our brokerage. I think our whole team, when we met you, we were like, hey man, he's such an open guy. You give that abundant presence, which I love, man. It's
appreciate
like enough to go around for everyone. So
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, you bring good energy. It's nice because you go into a new brokerage, you don't know how, you know, and you were very opening, and we're excited about Virtue Real Estate Group. Definitely check it out. And we're excited about having other top producers come to this up and coming brokerage, so we can have that fun competition with each other and root for each other. We all want to succeed. There's plenty of sales to go around.
For sure.
And it's all, I love the brokerage, because I mean, yesterday we had a meeting with your team, Darren's team, myself, kind of just bouncing off of each other. How are you guys doing business? How is Darren's team doing business? How am I doing business? How can we all relate, and how can we all work together? Like I said, it's the healthy competition that I love about the brokerage.
Absolutely.
You can tell there's a team environment. I've been to some brokerages, I'm sure you have too, where they're like, nope, this is mine, and I'm not sharing, and this is my information, and you know, I'm like, hey man, like, hey, we're all here to win, right? So
it's good, because in reality is, even if you give out that information, most people 99% of people aren't going to even do it, right? So I love that you have that abundance mindset and give back. So I want to thank you for being on our third podcast. If you guys liked what you heard from Mr. Austin Starr, he's a top producer here in town. Hit him up. And I want to I got the best co-host in the business for podcasts, Mr. Rodrigo.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Austin, for being here.
Thank you guys for having me.
And this is Runnin Vegas. And you guys take care of yourself today.